Welcome to DES Trucks. Here I've got my 2022 F350. It's got the 7.3 liter Godzilla V8 and I'm driving it. In a rare occasion, this truck is not hooked up to a trailer. It's got a little bit in the bed, a little bit of weight in the bed, nothing crazy, but you'd be surprised how heavy some grass clippings can be. And I'm impressed. Like, I haven't driven this truck in a long time with no trailer. Finally getting around to doing that. Just because I was doing some quotes, I wanted to drive this instead of the 450. You pull up and all that bling, sometimes it can be negative. You won't get the job. But yeah, I'm impressed because I haven't driven this in a long time with no trailer. And there is a difference when you're driving, a gas or a diesel. The gasoline engine has some pros that are pretty apparent. Jumping in here and driving the truck pretty much back to back. I drove the 6.7 to work and I unhooked this from the trailer and jumped in it and did the estimates. Now that I got the job, I'm gonna pull up in the 450, but I just wanted to quote it without being in that 450. Sometimes you gotta play a little psychological warfare like that. $100,000 looking truck, even though the truck didn't cost that much, can scare potential clients a little bit sometimes. This is a very nice piece. I've gotten work from this truck. It's a XL. It's got low miles, like 20,000, but it's a very, very presentable, nice truck. 350 crew cab. People are like, when I say I've gotten work out of this thing, I've signed, some big snow accounts just because people have seen this truck out on the road. And it's lettered and it's got the nice trailer, the same color. I think it probably brings in more work than the 450. But it's just the right level of, it looks like it belongs. The 450 is a very rare truck, and it's a lot. It's a lot to pull up. It looks like something a lot of people don't and have never really even seen it. But it's interesting, if the 7.3 was available in a 450 pickup truck, it is available in the cab chassis. But in the 450 pickup truck, could I see myself doing that to save the money? The diesel is more fun. The power pulls are fun. But in the form of the 450, it really pulls once you're rolling. It does not pull good from a dead stop because of the gearing and the transmission and all that torque, and it doesn't want to accelerate. It either spins and then the engine doesn't rev high enough to really capitalize on just acceleration from a dead stop. You get a ton of wheel hop. So if you are thinking, hey, I want a 450 just because, but I'm going to drive it empty and I really like the driving experience of owning a pickup, a 450, in my opinion, has a little bit of a diminished driving experience empty compared to a single rear wheel, just because of the gearing and the torque and all that stuff going on, the transmission, the 10 speeds, the low first gear. It starts in first. I think a lot of it could be mitigated if it started in second or third, but first gear driving, I'm not a huge fan of that. To really feel that power, like I got the high output in the 450, to really feel the power of it, you've got to roll maybe 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, and then step on it. Then it feels pretty good. It's still not as good as like a single rear wheel, just from, maybe a 3.55 gear or a 3.31 gear. With that low end torque, it would rip a lot more with a single rear wheel compared to a 450. And then once you get to about 45, 50, you're out of gears. You're all engine. After about 45, 50 miles an hour, you're in 10th gear, and you're going to be pushing 2,500 RPM, probably just over 2,500 RPM, around 80 miles an hour. But the diesel doesn't mind doing that. Believe it or not, the diesel, it's still relatively fuel efficient at that higher RPM. The diesel really can deal with that. It can base its fuel usage a little bit more on load versus all that RPM. So the RPM doesn't hurt it as bad as you would think, because you're spinning that motor a little bit faster. It does lower the MPG, I'd imagine, a little bit, because it's not going to be free to spin that mass. But it's not the end of the world. It's more the low speed acceleration with no trailer. But the minute you put a trailer behind that truck, we got a 5,000 pound dump trailer. It's 5,000 pounds empty. It's pretty happy. You know, you've got a little more traction. That trailer's got about 500 pounds of tongue weight, so you've got a little bit more traction behind you because you got that weight pushing down on the rear end. Then, you know, you load that trailer up, 15,000 pounds, 16,000 pounds in it, or 16,000 pounds gross combined, or gross trailer rate. And then combined, it would be another 10,000 pounds on top of that. So 26,000 pound truck, the actual weight, 26,000 pounds. That is where you are like, okay, this is a really good towing truck. It performs a little better than the 7.3, but it really performs a lot better because of the chassis, like the rear springs, the dual tires. Those commercial tires start to perform good once you're towing heavy. That's where it does well. Whereas this truck, the smoothness of these light truck tires is so much better than the hockey pucks that you get on the 450. They get out around, they get vibrations and stuff, whereas these, they just ride smooth, empty. The power, the 7.3 with this gearing and the weights that I'm pulling, it's okay. You know, it's not getting you in trouble though. Like the 6.7 high output, towing some weight can get you in a little trouble if you step on it. It can get squirrely. It can get dangerous a little bit for a younger driver. You really need a level of maturity, I think. Oh, you got to turn right. Wow. You really need a level of maturity to be driving, you know, that 6.7 with the big trailer behind it. This guy's messing shit up. What he's got going. Like, dog, what you doing? Confusing ladies. They can't get through. Punto. Yeah, I mean, no, see, like the 6.7 is going to really rip and it'll really put you back in a seat, even in the 450. Whereas this, it's weird. It gets rolling quicker under just normal driving, but if you step on it, you really can't deny freaking 1,200 foot-pounds of torque and whatever horsepower, 500 horsepower. You can't deny that. But this is just it's smoother. It's a smoother engine. This engine's very smooth. It's very calm, and it's a very good platform. So, you know, aside from just the fun, I mean, yeah, the acceleration and stuff is funner. Just driving normally, this is a very good truck, very good setup. So comment below and what you think is better. The diesel, it's got more tricks up its sleeve, for the fact that you're able to have an incredibly long range, get good mileage on the highway if you really drive it. Not that I get good mileage with the way that I'm driving, but if I go on a road trip, I'm getting 18, 19 to the gallon, that big truck at high rates of speed. If I could slow it down, I could probably get into the 20s. So that's a plus. Plowing snow and stuff, I can go out for days in the diesel and not have to fuel. And in the gas, you need to fuel it up a little more often. Heavier, diesel's gonna be heavier, so bigger counterweight on the front end. So whatever you put behind it on the hitch, you got more cantilever weight over the front to make that towing experience better with the diesel than it would be with the gas, just because you got a heavier weight on the front end. So there's pros, there's pros and cons. The gasoline being lighter engine, you can put a heavier plow on a truck, typically with a gasoline engine. The diesel, a lot of these snow plows, they're over the weight rating of the front end. Although it's typically not the axle that you're exceeding, it's typically the spring pack, which is going to be the weaker of the two typically. So stress in the springs, more front end wear on the diesel, more tire wear. But this engine, if you don't need the towing and you're not racing, it does drive better. It's smoother. The acceleration is very linear. It kind of sounds cool. The 7.3 has got a nice sound to it. So it's not by any means something that you don't want to get. The reliability factor, though, the diesel, as it sits right now, in my opinion, the 6.7 Power Stroke versus 7.3, I think the 6.7 is more reliable than the 7.3. It has a longer track record of being produced compared to the 7.3. It's a relatively new engine. The 7.3 has had their failures. It's had their issues with spark plugs, camshaft issues, lifter issues, whatever. So that's something to think about. Where all that stuff with the diesel has been worked out. The diesel came out and it was freaking blowing crankshafts and locking up and all that for the first couple, first generation. But that was a long time ago. That 6.7 is an engine that's been out there in production for so long now that it's reliable. They haven't changed too much internally. I mean, they've updated connecting rods and stuff like that over the years, but it's proven. It's just been out there longer than the 7.3. The 7.3, it's probably proven by now that Ford's had the time to work out the bugs, but it's a good engine. It's a more refined, smoother. It's a gasoline engine, so it just runs smoother, and it's not a bad alternative. And it's gonna do, I think, everything as far as can it do it? Can it technically get it done? It will. It'll tow everything the diesel can tow until you get into the dually category. Because my 450 can tow probably legally like 40,000. I don't think this will. I don't think the 7.3 will do okay in those situations. But it does good up to 16,000 pounds, and that's the max on this chassis. So that would be a good engine. And at the end of the day, for a fleet, I mean, you got to look at dollars and cents. Why would you buy a fun, fast, freaking truck for an average worker? Maybe like a foreman who you can really trust, who you really want to be rewarded with something that is going to make that person happy. But typically speaking, these drivers get in these trucks, and I don't even like them driving this because it's just too much fun. Like, you can step on the freaking pedal and have equipment all over the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, when you're bumping property to property, all that stuff's not strapped if you're only going a half a block or something. And here they go, freaking launching everywhere and getting all reckless, So for workers, a little bit slower vehicle is nice. You got guys that are 22, 23 years old driving, and they haven't been on the road that long. They haven't been in enough accidents to know what's going to happen from some of the behaviors and choices. For me, I was the same way, driving too fast, freaking getting in trouble. I've crashed a couple of vehicles to know that it's something that I don't want to do. Have an airbag blowing up in my face. Getting out of the vehicle and looking like, damn it, I just totaled my car. So it's a different thing. I've been through that. These young guys, 20, they haven't been hit yet. The worst thing is the person that's never been hit. So I wouldn't want them driving a race truck for work. You know what I mean? But anyway, comment below. My name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. This is our 2273, beautiful truck, great driving truck, XL, got the 360 cam, got all this cool tech, the upfitter switches. But anyway, comment below. Hope to see you soon. Over and out. Time for me to get lunch.